Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Morning Leap session for Thursday, August the 24th, 2017. My name is Doug McKay. I am the founder of Quantum Leap Futures. Each morning we get together in these live go-to sessions to take a look at the market macro to micro, take a look at the structure, and then we drill down to our trade levels, our targets, and our hypotheses. Oh, by the way, there's the break of the 47.75, so see how if we get a failed auction or we get the move. This is a subscription room. If you're interested in checking it out, send me an email to quantumleapfutures@gmail.com. There's no website, there's no blog. We do everything here in the go-to each day during these pre-market sessions, and then we do live trading and analysis. Today and tomorrow will be the last two days of free access to the room. So if you want to get a further look or join us, please send me an email or send me a Skype request. You'll need Skype. It's easy to open. It's free to do. But we use that for our QL live trade room chat rather than the go-to, because the Skype allows us to post charts, etc. And I'll be Doug_McKay. I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Also, if you like these videos on YouTube, there's over 600 days of these pre-market sessions. Please hit like. And of course, if you're here, you're probably following me on Twitter. Please like and retweet when you see these posts. Let's get the disclaimer out of the way. Please read through the disclaimer. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and any trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence, your own trade plan, and your own risk metrics. Okay, so going to yesterday. Yesterday, our main hypothesis was for a rotational inside day. Hypo 1 was a move down into the 35 area and then finding the buyers and rotating us up and chopping between the 51.50 and the 45. Hypo 2 was the move up first, but then again, just rotational day. Very tight rotational day, 9 points of range. We basically chopped between the 48.75 and the 40. Remember that 40 is our microcomposite value area high, which we're just trying to break out of, and really got a nice Gaussian distribution, so we could see some movement today. We talked about this. We were looking for the late day probe, which was surprising we didn't get it, but you can see how many times we banged against the 47.75, which was a week high. But then into the close, we got that Mr. Sneaky, and they sold it off, and we said we'd likely, if we couldn't hold the 44, the VWAP and the VPOC, that we'd likely end up with a doji day, and we basically had almost a doji day. In the Globex, I wanted to point this out, and this is important that I point this out because we were talking about this yesterday, about these zipper measured moves. And we had this zipper measured move that we put in early on, from the Globex going into the RTH session, and I've made it clear that these zipper measured moves are not session related, and the target on this one was down at the 38, and we got to the 38.75, and I said, we got close, but we're still likely to get down there. If we do not break. The violation does not come until the 51, and this is a good example of, I always talk about the fact that the market never moves in straight lines. This was still never violated, and what did we do overnight? We came down and we finalized that zipper measure move to the downside. Actually, we got the move down to 35 that I was looking for. Then we found the buyers, and we've rotated ourselves up into that weak high that we created at the 47.75. And so far, we've only got a 3-tick break above it. But each day, I like to step back and take a macro look at the market. I do this using my toss paper money that I've got lagged out of here. So I use my paper money for all my internals and sectors and just basic charts because I like the charting tools on it. But I start with the monthly. All the moving averages you're going to see are 9 EMA and 20 SMA on all of my charts. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to get a sense of where we are within the trend on each time frame, where the trends get challenged. The trend starts to get challenged with a break of the 9 EMA, and they get violated with the break of the 20 SMA. And I'm also looking for any candlestick patterns or chart patterns that jump out at me. But mainly I'm looking for where we are in the trend. We got good slope, good separation. We're still near the all-time highs. There's nowhere close to violating and challenging this trend. We don't even do that until we get back into the 2300s. So the trend on the larger time frame is strong. As we move to the weekly, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We had this inside week, and we were talking about coming down and testing the 9. We've actually come down and tested the 20, so we've challenged the trend, but we have not violated. We have not broken below the 20 SMA, and now we're popping back above the 9. So this could simply be a retest of the 20 and a continuation pattern into new all-time highs. Certainly not looking like those dip buyers are done yet. But as we move to the daily, you can see that a important long time frame trend line. This goes from the gap up day on the election, and we've held this trend line until just recently, and in the last week and a half, we've come down on the 2 Thursdays and broke below it, and then we start buying up. The key here right now is that we failed yesterday to hold above the 9. We're back above it now. The key level that we're going to be watching for is, do we get above this 57? And of course, we know that 5750 is a CHVN. It is a area of prior price acceptance that we've challenged. We'll take a look at that when we get to the composite. So if we get above that 5750, then I'm looking for a move back up into the 64 area to challenge that 64. There is our value area low of the value. This value area here, this balance area, the value area low is down at 64. I think it's 64.50 or 65. And if we get back in there, back up into balance around the microcomposite VPOC at 69. But right now on the daily, we are seeing some weakness, but they're trying to hold it. But the trend is being challenged right now on the daily. As we move down to the intraday, you can see that we had this downward trend. We've now taken it back. They moved a little bit too far and came back, challenged the 20 again, and now they're back above the 9 and the 20, and we've got a possible continuation to the upside. Going to the 1 hour, same thing. We do have this naked cross right here. I point these out, and I actually talked about this one yesterday up here at the 4850 area, and a good example of how these naked crosses, what I mean by naked cross is when the 9 crosses over the 20 and price action moves away without retesting it. That leaves what we call a naked cross. And if you do your own study on this, you'll be amazed at how often these naked crosses get retested. And here we are now, just coming up and hitting it now. We are leaving one below us though at the 4175 still expecting a lot of chop in this area. Got possible, there's a little bit of a skewed head and shoulder here. Possible cup and handle could set up, but the most important thing is the 1 hour trend is up. And you can see our acceleration of this trend up, good slope, good separation. Going to the 15-minute, you can see again, same thing. Price continues to move up, stair-stepping, okay, move up, backfill, test the 9, and continue up. We do have a naked cross right here that we're coming up to as well at 48.75 on the 15-minute. And then going to the 5-minute, you can see yet again that the smaller time frame and the longer time frame trends are still up, and we're simply in the intermediate time frames have come down and challenged it, but we have not completely violated it yet. So if we take a look at the big picture, and again, quickly narrate this to put it into context for those that are new to volume profile and auction logic. We create this balance area with the value area high at the 40 and the value area low at the 1550. We break out, we accept value at the 40.75 just above the value. We go into price discovery, we come up, we create 3-day price acceptance higher at that 57.50 I was just talking about, and then we gap up, we come up here and we balance, we create price acceptance higher in around the 69 area, and then they fall out of that value area, and where do they come back to? They come back to the 57.50, find the late buyers, rotate back up, chop around in here, put in a new all-time high, and then they're trying to hold value at the 72. They can't. They come down for the second time. We talked about this in the room. You can go watch the video. That not likely going to find buyers at the 57.50. We already picked up the late buyers. Likely going to have to come down to the area where they found value just after breaking out of the value area. They come down here. They actually push into right to the microcomposite VPOC, the most traded price in this area. Accept price again at the value area high, and then gap up, come up, and then they come up into the 72, the last price they tried to hold value just before they fell out. They can't. They fall down again. They come down. We said not likely going to find buyers at the 35. They already picked up the late buyers there. Likely going to have to go lower. Where's the likely place they're going to go? Down to the 23, and actually they made a trip right through value and came down right to the value area low. Found the buyers again, accepted value at 29.75, gapped up, pushed up, and now what are they trying to do the last 2 days? Accept value outside of the value area and get continuation back up. And we're stuck in this area of that was improperly auctioned on the way up and on the way down, and we're maturing the auction. Excuse me for 1 second, I apologize. Sorry about that. So we're in this area right here, and we're likely to get stuck here again today. Key line in the sand is shifted up to 54.75. I'm actually watching this 57, because I think if we can get above that 57, then we've got a good shot into that value area low of this balance area up here at 65. But likely to see some chop between, again, this time our key line, the sand below, is going to be shifted up to the 2440. Below the 2440, we're looking for the push back into the 35 and then back into this area of undetermined fair value. You can see we're getting a double distribution with the main LVN here in the 40 range, and we broke that week high that we put in at 47.75. Didn't get as high as I thought. I thought they popped to at least the 40 875.49. But we're showing some strength on the buy side right now. So if we take a look at the inventory overnight, you can see that we went down to that 35. That was what I was expecting to happen yesterday first, and then the rotation up. We've got a pretty toothy profile from the overnight, but the inventory is pretty neutral. I'd say it's probably about 50-50 between net short and net long in both time and price. And then you can see that our Globex VPOC is sitting just above the value area. I'm sorry, the microcomposite. I'm sorry, the value area high of the microcomposite that we've been talking about. And you got to look at that zone between the value area low of the balance area that we fell out of, that's up at 65, and the value area high of the one that we just broke out of to the upside, and likely see some more chop. So currently our overnight high is 48.50. They've been doing a lot of this make and break, challenging the overnight high or overnight low right on the RTH open, likely to get some expansion to the upside on the 48.50, but not likely to change our overnight low, which is at 35.25. So just below that micro composite VPOC, our 20-period full session ATR is running at 1803. That's your average true range. So 35.25 plus the 1803 takes our daily ATR target up to 53.25. All right, which is sitting right on that naked close. There's a naked close right there at 53.25. And then currently, and it's likely to shift, and that's the problem with doing these sessions, half hour before the open, is things can change. So just make the adjustments as needed. But 48.50 minus the 1803 gives us our downside daily ATR of 30.50. And that is just below the gap fill that we still have not filled. So our VPOC overnight is not likely to change. It's at 20, 40, 50. Right on yesterday's open, and there's an LVN right here at the 45.25. I'm going to be using between 45.25 and 46.25 as a trade area. This is a valid value area, so any longs I take off of this, I want to be above 46.25. Any shorts I take off this, I want to be below 45.25. Of course, the immediate target below is the 44, but I'd be really watching the value area low here and seeing a trip through value down to the 42.50, and then we've got the naked close just below. And then our key line in the sand is going to shift. I'm going to use the key line in the sand at the 40.50. At the 40, because it is our value area high, and anything below that, I don't think the 38.75 is going to hold. I think we push down to that microcomposite VPOC at 38.75. I think we push down to the let me just put this in into the 35.75 microcomposite VPOC and the overnight low. And then all our other levels don't change. I think the next time we come down to 35, we're not going to hold. We've been down here a couple times. This time, I think we're going to move down into the gap zone and come down and take out this naked close and naked VPOC. Levels to the upside, of course, I'm going to be watching the 50 level. Our weekly ATR is at 34.16, so off of the low of the week of 15.75. Our upside weekly ATR is at 50. Now, this is something to note. We've got today and tomorrow left. Our daily ATR is above. We've already traversed the whole weekly range. So if we get above 50, I'm going to be looking for that push up into the 57.50. And then once we get above this 54, our critical mass comes into play. And right now, today, it's 64. Tomorrow, it will change, but we have 2 days left of trading for the week. And the week open is all the way down at 24.2875. So if we get above 64 today, not sure if we will, but if we get above 64 today, then weekly critical mass could kick in, and we could get a quick move up into this 69 with resistance at 65. But main targets here are the naked close and the naked VPOC at 67.75 and 67. So those are the levels. So we're trading right near the overnight high and near yesterday's range high. I'm still looking for a rotational day again today, as we mature this area right here. In terms of news, just take a look at the news and see if there's anything that could change. Unemployment claims really didn't do much. They came in just slightly less than anticipated at 234 or 235, depending on which news service you look at. 10 o'clock, we've got existing home sales and mortgage delinquencies. This is all Eastern time. 10:30 is natural gas. And then today and tomorrow is the start of the Jackson Hole Symposium. I don't think we're going to see a lot as much today as we will going into the Globex tomorrow or tonight and into tomorrow, because tomorrow we've got Draghi and Yellen both speaking. And the second day of the Jackson Hole Symposium with core durable goods. So tomorrow could be explosive. This afternoon, as they get things rolling, could offer some movement. But in terms of my main hypothesis, it's not going to change much. I'm looking for a rotational day, obviously not an inside day, but it could be an inside day of the trend day that we saw. But basically, I'm looking for open auction just in range or just out of range. And that's going to be important to pay attention to if we do open up out of range, watch for the gap and go day that we got like the other day. But I'm looking for a rotation down into the 40 area to the 38 area. I'm looking for responsive buyers to step in and come up and take out this naked VPOC up here at the 51.25 and chop between the 54 and the 45 and go sideways with maybe a late day probe up into the 57.50. That is hypo 1. Hypo 2 is an open auction just in range, a move up into the 50 to 51.25, maybe even 53, but finding responsive sellers, rotating us down into this 44 and then chopping around between 40 and 48. That is hypo 2. Hypo 3 will be if we open auction just out of range or out of value, an open test drive, failure to get inside of value or fail to get inside of the day, but somewhere in here, the buyers step in early, take us right up into the 51.25 base there, then push up into the 54, challenge that range high and take out the naked VPOC, the naked close at 53.25, and then get our gap and go day or a trend day up into this 60 to 64, possibly even a late day probe up into the 67, 69, but basically a trend day up. Whether it's a gap and go opening up out of range or a open test drive inside of range and failure to get into the value area, or a quick dip into the value area. We could even get to the 44 and then leave the gap open and go from there. But anyway, trend day up. Hypo 4 is a failure to take out the 51.25. Come back down into the 40, chop around between the 42 and 40, challenging the value area, and then breaking below, coming down into the 35, and then failing again and coming down and taking out the 28, 50, and the 27, and seeing more weakness. There is an alternative hypo, which is basically sideways action for most of the day, chopping around the 47.75, and then based on news coming out of Jackson Hole Symposium, either push up, a late day probe up, or a late day probe down. But I am putting more weight to hypo 1, hypo 2, and a little bit to hypo 3. We are above the upper Keltner, so watch how far we can push. Our pivot point for the day is right here at the 45. Resistance 1 comes in at the 51.25, and resistance 2 comes in at the 61, and then support comes in at support 1 comes in at the 35. It's interesting that these numbers, based on different methodologies, line up so nicely together. So that's my hypothesis for the ES. Looking at gold, we talked about basing here and creating balance between the 94 and the 91. Here we are trading right at the 6-day microcomposite VPOC, and we're still basing. I'm still looking for the push up, and again, nothing changes. The last basically 3 days, we talked about the breakout we're looking for is above 96 or below 87. Other than that, we're just looking for sideways chop. Once we break out, 98.10 to the upside. 98 is your first target with the 1302 and the 1307, but the main target now becomes the 1310 if we get back into the 1300s and move up into this 1312.20. Below 87, you're looking for the 84.50, and if that doesn't bounce us, push back down to the 79 to 75. We still have this longer time frame composite VPOC that goes all the way back to 2008, which shifted up on this day right here. It shifted from here at 63.10 up to 75, created our basing pattern, giving us our move into that 1302, which was our main target above. And now we've come back, and we're coming back to this 91 area and chopping around there, but we are accepting value higher so far. So the continuation pattern is the higher probability and the move up into 1300s again. So that's going to complete our pre-market session. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side. I will be opening up the room. I have to close it down to get the recording, but I'll post the link to the live room on Twitter and into our members room. Have a good day, everyone.